Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only weather forecast over the next week, recorded on Thursday the 20th of November. As we kick off today's map, we've got low pressure around Western Australia with plenty of thunderstorms linking all the way up to the Kimberley. And then of course, off the top end, Tropical Cyclone Fina, which was Category 2 when we recorded this. That's probably the power it's going to be when it comes into Darwin on Saturday. We have another video out about that today. Notice yesterday's video was getting close to 12 minutes long, so I thought I'd break it today into two videos. So if you want more details about that, please do watch the other video. A lot of dry weather in many other places at the moment, although we have seen some showers moving through New South Wales today and around the ACT, a couple of thunderstorms further to the south, right on the border of Victoria. And once you go further southwards, parts of South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania under a colder system at the moment, or cooler system, as winds come off the Southern Ocean there. And you can see it with the speckled cloud, classic sign of colder airflows moving through. So here's the wind map for this evening. We've got the tropical cyclone up here. Like I say, Category 2. We think it'll stay at that level. The Bureau of Meteorology thinks that, as well as we do. So we don't expect the storm to get much more powerful than it is at the moment, but you never know. It's in some pretty warm conditions at the moment. Low pressure also just off the coast of the far north of Queensland. That's why we're seeing a few showers and thunderstorms up there. And you can see as the high rolls in over the Great Australian Bight, the cooler airflow coming into it tonight. So places that might have been pretty warm today might get a temperature drop as that southerly goes right up to about Queensland. Then it fades away from you. And the westerly winds around New South Wales on one side, but you've also got southerly winds on the other. So that could produce a bit of convergence. Clouds build up, a couple of heavy showers around the Great Dividing Range. And in Tasmania, temperatures are down because of the sou'wester. And in Western Australia, this large low pressure zone is producing all those thunderstorms and the different airflows that are moving around at the moment. So as we go into Friday, we'll start with the low down here because this is the one that's producing a fairly widespread area of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly along the southern coastline, you'll get those showers, and windy southeasterlies in that eastern side of coastal Western Australia. Also a bit windy around parts of South Australia, Ceduna getting a nor'easter coming through, and showers and thunderstorms going right up here to the southern or southwestern corner of the Northern Territory. A lot of dry weather through the Northern Territory, but the tropical cyclone does look as though it'll start to drive in wind and rain to the very north around about Friday afternoon or evening. It's really Saturday that most of the severe weather looks to be moving through up there. A few thunderstorms at the very north of Queensland, and then you've got to come into the southeast corner. That's where you'll see this line of convergence through the Great Dividing Range. Thunderstorms potentially severe around the northern rivers and the southeast corner of Queensland, and the red tropical boundary being pulled further southwards, which means temperatures are lifting up, along with this windy north to northeasterly. Could be gusting to gale force in some areas, probably not too problematic or damaging, but just keep an eye on those strong winds around the mountains and ranges in particular here in southeastern Australia. And if you're in Tassie, look at the high on either side of you. Yes, there's a tiny bit of low pressure in the middle. You might get a couple of showers around, otherwise dry and warmer on Friday as a result of that high. And the high moves out to the South Tasman Sea on Saturday, producing more mild weather around Tassie, although if you're in Hobart, a bit of an easterly breeze off the sea might be felt there. Further northwards, still windy through New South Wales, the ACT, and the very eastern side of Victoria in some exposed areas. It sort of depends on where the mountains and ranges are around you. And yes, showers and thunderstorms. In fact, wherever you see blue on the map here, even though it's the bottom of the scale or the key, you've got a chance of thunderstorms and downpours in there. But if you're in the very pale blue areas, you might just see the clouds build up and not get a drop of rain. So it's not necessarily widespread rain for everybody. And we've got the tropical cyclone up here pretty much going over the top of Darwin by Saturday afternoon and evening. Like I say, our other video shows that in a bit more detail for you. By Sunday, the storm moving away from the Northern Territory, brushing northern parts of the Kimberley. At the other end of Western Australia, it's a colder southerly arriving. The polar boundary here in the very left-hand corner of the screen. So even though that doesn't come in and over Western Australia, that cooler airflow will be felt. If you're along the southern coastline there in Albany and Esperance and Margaret River, those areas will all feel the temperature down with rain and showers blowing through for you. Now we're seeing low pressure sinking further into New South Wales. The red tropical boundary being dragged further south and southeast severe thunderstorms and heavy downpours around a large part of New South Wales there. Although keep in mind, the pale blue on either side of it means you might not get anything. So it's not rain for everybody, but certainly in these areas with the gold shading, a much higher chance of having a downpour or a severe thunderstorm as this heat starts to move southwards. Westerly winds around Bass Strait, easterly winds, other way around. Easterly winds through Bass Strait. Some rain and thunderstorms in that area might brush Victoria, might even brush northern parts of Tassie, although Tasmania here, northeasterly winds, a mostly dry day on the way for you. Let's go into next week. So not necessarily massive amounts of rain, but there are scattered showers and thunderstorms. Everywhere you see these little blue dots, basically that's a sign of some convergence during the day where the clouds bubble up, you produce a downpour or a shower or a thunderstorm. Maybe a severe thunderstorm in more isolated areas and even up here around the Kimberley as Tropical Cyclone Fina, I'll have to say potentially makes landfall there. It may not because some of the modelling is not yet sure about what happens once it leaves the Northern Territory. But some very heavy rain up here, 200-300 millimetres in just a day falling in one spot. Most other places don't see anything like that kind of rainfall. The blue circle here, that's the leftovers of that colder southerly higher up in the atmosphere. But basically it indicates that cooler southerly will be felt all the way up to the Midwest of Western Australia and along the southern coastline, while the tropical boundary drops down. It's sort of like what goes up must come down sort of thing. So the heat really pushes out to the east here as we go into Monday. So Brisbane, you'll see the temperatures jumping up next week. Some places next week could be into the mid-30s around Brisbane. And keep in mind, you've got the humidity on top of that. And when I say Brisbane, I'm talking about everyone else who lives in that area, in the whole southeastern corner of Queensland. More showers and thunderstorms for New South Wales, with the heat also increasing for many of you, more tropical heat. And in Tassie, the polar boundary is not over you at the moment. Well, you don't have the tropical one either, but you've got a warmer airflow that's sort of snaking its way into you. So a lot of moving parts on the map on Monday, even though there are still some very large, dry areas. And we go to Tuesday with the leftovers of Cyclone Fina still falling apart in the very north there. We've got a cooler airflow from South Australia over to about Western Australia's southwest corner. So that southerly flow coming through, southeasterly for that southern part of Western Australia, hot and humid for the rest of the state, hot and humid right across the Northern Territory, hot and humid across the top half of South Australia, cooler in the southern half. And once you come over to New South Wales and Queensland, all of Queensland under the tropical boundary, everybody there will notice the heat and the humidity as we go through to Tuesday, and more of you will feel it in New South Wales, including Sydney. And we go to Wednesday, and that cooler southerly change now pushing in to New South Wales, clearing that humidity northwards again. That will continue to go northwards later next week. But plenty of showers and thunderstorms here around Queensland, the Northern Territory, the top half of Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, and then Tasmania on a different set of weather with the polar boundary coming back in very close to you with spring-like weather, without a doubt. Strong winds, maybe gale in some areas, lower temperatures coming through, especially by Wednesday night, as that polar boundary just sort of brushes by the very south. It doesn't look like it's going to come right on in. But yeah, there are quite a few things going on over the next week. So here's the 7-day rainfall maps, pretty quick one for you. You can see these downpours and thunderstorms, the tropical cyclone up there leaving, as I say, a minimum of 300 millimetres. Some areas might get up to half a metre of rain from that. But yeah, really some large dry areas in the pale blue. Not everyone will get wet weather within that pale blue area, but certainly the build-ups will be there, and most of the thundery weather around New South Wales, Queensland, maybe the eastern side of Victoria, and on the western side of Tassie, you've got those western showers building up, just like the southern part of Western Australia's got showers building up from the southerly winds that are on the way. So still quite a lot going on, even though not necessarily huge amounts of severe weather or widespread rain for everyone. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, Friday, as we go into the weekend. I'll catch you then.